What's up, everybody? Welcome to the
So,
RiOT Comedy Podcast presented by RiOT. Shout out to RiOT, natural spring water, keeping us healthy and hydrated. Today we talking NBA.
yeah,
Trey Young saying he's be the best player if he's 6'8". Tatum predicting a finals rematch. A couple other things. Let's get to it. Let's
yeah,
start off
man.
with Trey Young.
Well, when I heard the
Trey Young,
comment,
he said, just so everyone knows, he said, I feel like if I was 6'8", I'd be the best player ever.
well, as soon as I heard the comment, I was kind of intrigued to hear what you were going to say about it. I'll put my 2 cents in about it after you have something to say about it. I feel like we're going to feel very similar to this, but go ahead.
I think he is wrong.
Well, yeah.
However, I get why he feels like that. Because Trey Young is super good. But I don't think him being 7-8 inches taller would make him the best ever. I don't think he'd be the best player in the league today if he was 6'8", let alone the best player ever.
I was shocked when I heard it. I was surprised that he said it. Because, like, here's my thing is, like, to be like, well, if I was this tall, then, like, I would be this good. Which, like, I guess if I was 6'8", I'd be in the league probably. You know? Because I'm an athlete, I'm just fucking tiny.
Yeah, you'd
But,
be
like,
better.
here's my thing is, like, so you and Steph Curry aren't that different in size. How much taller is Steph than Trey? Like 2 inches?
Yeah, probably.
And Trey and Steph's a top 10 player of all time. Isaiah Thomas is the third greatest point guard ever, and he's tiny. Like, there's ways to be tiny and be good at basketball, which Trae Young's figured it out. He is good at basketball. I think Trey's a baller, not knocking this dude. But if you're not a top 15 player in the league right now, adding 6-7 inches to your height does not make you the best player ever. Not even close. I can easily name 10 guys better than Trae Young.
Well,
No problem.
let's look at it like this. Where does he even rank? Let's see. Well, let's see exactly how tall Trey Young is.
Yeah, I'm interested because he's probably like 6'1", right? 6'1".
He's 6'1". Oh yeah, 6'1". How tall are you? 6 feet.
6'1".
6'1".
Skyscraper.
You like skyscraper. Where does he rank among players that are 6'1"? Well, let's say 6 foot to 6'2" range. He ain't the best. He ain't the GOAT of that height range. So how's he gonna be? How's he gonna be? You know, better than all these
6'7".
other dudes if he was.
And then better,
You know?
like, cause like, what does being 6'7", what does being 6'1" have to do with not playing defense? What does being 6'1" have to do with like not being able to win basketball games and get your team into the playoffs the last couple of years? Like, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing at the end of the day. So, like, him saying that, like, I kind of understand why you feel that way, but there's so many other things that you could work on getting better at that have nothing to do with your height. Absolutely zero.
For sure.
Absolutely
For sure.
zero. Like, you can't even,
See,
like, go ahead.
I don't think, because I mean, just not really thinking about it, but throwing out like where Trey Young would rank all time on all time NBA players, he's probably somewhere around like 150. So you're gonna leapfrog
200.
you're gonna leapfrog 150, 200 guys by getting 6 inches taller. I don't think so.
There's no way. There's no way, because we've actually, like, you've never seen a player in the NBA be good because they're tall. They're good and tall. Like, there's a big difference between, like, which I guess Trae Young would fit that category of being, like, big and tall. I mean, tall and good. But, like, you don't have to be that goddamn tall to be good. Like, Russell Westbrook, how tall is Russ? Like 6'4"?
But let's not act like it doesn't give you a huge advantage.
It does.
I think Russ is listed as 6'3". If Russ was 6'8", that dude would be the
He'd be the
baddest
shit.
motherfucker. Dog.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, so, like, Ja Morant isn't that much taller than 6'1", probably. Ja's probably 6'3", and, like, 2 inches is actually a decent amount. But, like, Russell Westbrook's 2 inches taller than you, averages like 11 rebounds a game. So, like, that means you can go down there and get rebounds, too. You can get steals. You can get more, like, you can do more things than you do at your height that would suggest that you wouldn't be that much better if you were, like, so you don't rebound, you don't play hard defense. So being 6'7" doesn't even give you that much of an advantage, except for being able to, instead of having to take a step back to shoot a three to get over a hand, you can just jump up and shoot it in their face. That's the only advantage it's going to give Trey Young. That's it.
Yeah, and another thing is like whenever you talk about Russ and Ja, like they're in
They're
a
freak
better
athletes.
situation. They're freak athletes. Yeah, they're freak athletes. Trae Young and a freak athlete.
Neither
Like
Steph.
Ja, no, for sure, for sure. But we were comparing him to
No, I know.
Trey
I'm
and
just
Ja
saying.
just now. But I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, being taller obviously gives you an advantage. I mean, even aside from setback threes, it gives you an advantage of rebounding, even passing, being able to see over people, make different kind of plays. You can add different things to your game.
you're also going to be
Um,
slower and less shifty.
for sure, for sure. But I would take the height over being short and
Oh yeah,
shifty any day,
yeah, for
any
sure.
day of the week. I mean, even remember whenever we used to play on, when we was kids and we'd play on the mini hoop. I was way better than you and Dylan because I was 2.5 years older than you guys. And whenever you're kids, 2.5 years is a huge difference in size and height.
Yeah,
So
but
like
like, I get all that, but like, there's tall
huge,
players. I
huge
know, but
advantage.
like Trey Young, we can just agree to stop it, Trey. Stop it.
Yeah, Luca's 6'8". Trey Young at 6'8" wouldn't
You're
be
not
better than
better than
Luca
him.
is
You're not
already.
better than
Already.
LeBron either. So,
No, of
um,
course not.
off the Trey Young things, because we're gonna get to teams that'll make the playoffs. Um, Jason Tatum predicted that it's going to be a rematch in the finals, and I think that we can both agree that I agree the Boston Celtics are going to make the finals. I think that if
Yeah,
healthy,
yeah. I think
yes,
they should win the East for sure.
and I think that they do. I don't think that it's even close again. Like I think that teams got. I think the Bucks got a lot better. I think obviously Philly got a lot better, but I still think everybody's still behind. Unless for some reason we see something buck wild happen, like Steph gets traded to the Miami Heat for nothing. I don't see anybody keeping up.
Who
So I
who
think
who
that
has
we
the
can both
best
agree
chance
on
in the
that.
East? Who has the best chance in the East to knock Boston off and disrupt this rematch?
That's a good question. There's a part of me that wants to say Milwaukee just because Giannis is an unstoppable force, and Damian Lillard can take the shots in the fourth quarter along with Chris Middleton. I don't like Brook Lopez being on that team at all. Giannis should just probably play the five. But there's a part of me that wants to say Milwaukee, but I guess I'll have to go with Philly just because nobody on the Celtics can match up with Joel Embiid, and also the big three that the Sixers have would be considered like a perfect blend with like a point guard, small forward, and center, which you don't typically
Yeah.
get. So I think I would probably lean the furthest towards Philly, but like my head tells me Philly, but like my basketball instinct and heart wants me to pick Milwaukee. That's kind of where I'm at with those two teams, though. I don't really think anybody else is like the Knicks are still a piece away, so I would say that those two teams, but I'll go with Philly for now until I see everybody play.
I'd say Philly too for the same reasons you did. My only thing with Philly is how is Paul George going to fit into the offense? I think if he's the third option, things are going to go perfect. But I think if he tries to do too much, like he usually does, I think it's going to be not so good for Philly. Boston will beat the brakes off of him in the playoffs if Philly can't figure it out through the course of this year and make it work.
Well, I think what's interesting about Philly is like if you're Nick Nurse right now, you have a very, very interesting job here, right? Because you're going to have to coach your team way different in the regular season than in the postseason. Like so much different. I'll get into a little bit of depth on that. That are your players going to understand how much different it's going to be and be able to hop into playoff mode when necessary? Because in the regular season, Tyrese Maxey should take the most shots. He should have the ball in his hands the most. He should be your go-to guy in the regular season. You guys are good enough to make the playoffs. There's fucking like 20 teams that make the playoffs out of like 30 now. You guys can fucking make the playoffs. So let this young guy run full speed. Let this young guy take all the shots and just try to keep Paul George and Joel Embiid at 36 minutes a game. Now, I don't want to limit their minutes to 26, 28 minutes. That's how fuckers get hurt, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
is Nick Nurse going to be willing to coach like that and let his team know this is how we're going to play? And then also, but this is going to be the postseason route that we take where we slow the game down just a touch. And then Joel Embiid gets the ball a lot more, and we play more half-court sets because we have one of the best defenders still in the league in Paul George. We have an anchor in Joel Embiid. So, like, it'll be interesting because that's how I think they're going to have to do it. Because if you just go out here and play balls to the wall in the regular season, like, who gives a shit if you win 60 games if Paul George and fucking Joel Embiid are banged up, essentially, in the playoffs?
Yeah.
So, but that's how they're going to have to do it, in my opinion. I don't know if they're going to have the wherewithal to actually do that.
I think Philly, something about them just, for me, is like there's no way they can win an NBA championship. They don't have a roster constructed because they don't have a guy who's like a dog. Like everyone, their stars, like especially like Embiid, I just don't see him being that like that. And now, granted, he's a hooper. He can get buckets. I mean, he's got a 70-point game. He's got this. He's got that. But I don't see him being like that maniacal killer that it takes to be the dude on a championship team.
Well, we just saw a team win it who didn't have one of those, right? Like, I don't think the Boston Celtics have a guy like that. And the thing is like, I love the Caleb Martin addition, me personally, for the Sixers. I thought that was like as good of a signing as it even possibly gets in the offseason, obviously, besides Paul George. And then they got the dancing bear from France. We'll see how he kind of does.
Yeah.
We'll see how he does. They still have Andre Drummond as their backup, so it's one of those things where it's like maybe they're good enough to do it by committee, because if you beat the Boston Celtics, they can be beat because they don't have a killer on their team. Now, their team is so stacked that I don't think it matters, because I said that at the beginning of the offseason last year, and everything I said came true, not because I'm a genius, but because, like, that's how fucking stacked this roster is, right?
Yeah.
But if you're Philly, see, that's why I want to pick Milwaukee, because I do think that Damian Lillard is a fucking killer, and I've seen Giannis get 35
and
points
so is
a game in the
Giannis.
finals. Right, that's what I'm saying. And I've seen Giannis get 35 points a game in the finals. Just like, are they going to be healthy at the right time?
Yeah.
And that's kind of – and are they going to make a move? Are you guys willing to get rid of fucking Brook Lopez because he's too fucking slow and all he does is shoot threes? Like, I don't need a big guy on my team pulling 4 rebounds a game. Like, in my personal opinion, like –
sure.
and I'll see what you think about this. Like, do you think that the Bucks would be better off running Giannis at the 5, Dame at the 1, Middleton at the fucking 3, so at least you have some spacing out here? And then they also got Gary Trent Jr. in free agency, so slide him at the 2. So now your 1, 2, 3 can shoot threes. Giannis can anchor your defense in the back. And as far as power forward goes, I don't know who the fuck they're supposed to play there. Jay Crowder? I don't fucking know. But, like, find somebody. But and if you want to bring Brook Lopez off the bench to shoot threes or something, that's fine. But his days of playing over 15 minutes a game have to go. He's too much of a liability.
Sure. Absolutely. I got no use for a 7-foot dude who shoots threes instead of getting rebounds.
And that's the thing, is like, Giannis can't fucking shoot. And the more that you let Giannis play at the small forward position, the more it's going to force him to shoot, the more it's going to force him to do certain things that he's not fucking good at. And everybody keeps saying, well, like, if Giannis develops a jump shot, well, or if, like, Giannis hits some shots tonight, like, I don't fucking care about any of that. Run downhill and give me 30 points a game with dunks.
That's like saying, oh, Shaq should have developed a 15-foot jumper. No,
Right.
He should have been near the hoop and dominating, busting ass. And Giannis should be doing, obviously not what Shaq did, because that's impossible. We ain't got that. But he's like the most physically gifted person in the NBA right now.
For
so
sure. And he's a matchup nightmare at the 5 position. Like, even if you play Philly, like, Joel Embiid, like, you almost play Joel Embiid off the court because he's the slowest player in the league.
Slowest man I've ever seen on NBA court. It's unbelievable how slow Joel Embiid is. It's crazy.
And if you could get a 4, if you could find like a nice slid in 4 position for somebody, like if you could make a trade with like Brook Lopez and maybe like a Pat Connaughton and like a couple second-round picks and go get like a reliable 3-point shooting 4, like, now you're in business, because you have Dame, you have Chris Middleton, you got Gary Trent Jr. Like, you just need a guy who can play a little bit of defense and make open threes. Like, I'm not saying go get, like, Maxi Kleber or anything. Don't panic and go get somebody fucking trash like that. But there's got to be somebody available. Like, I don't even know how – like, there's no way they could even pull this off.
With a roster constructed like that, if I'm looking for a power forward, I don't need someone who can shoot threes. I need someone who is an athlete and big.
Well, like, ideally, you could have, like, Lauri Markkanen in there, but that's not even possible because these motherfuckers are all over the tax aprons, but that would be ideal.
Lauri Markkanen would be fire in that slot right there, but that's what I'm saying. Someone big, good athlete. Because, I mean, if I got...
Like P.J. Washington?
Lillard, I got Lillard, Trent, and
PJ's
Middleton.
not super huge. He's like 6'7", 6'8", but he's a super athlete.
Yeah, I'm looking for someone 6'10" to 7 foot to fill that slot. But an athlete, someone who can run the floor. That's what I'm looking for.
You're gonna have to look overseas maybe and try to find somebody overseas that nobody really knows about, because that's a really hard position to fill nowadays. It's crazy. We used to have athletic 7-footers kind of fruitfully in the league, and now they seem to be few and far between. But I feel you on wanting somebody that's at least 6'10".
Yeah,
somebody that's at least 6'10". Because then at least your team is still pretty big. But because then you still have Chris Middleton, who's like 6'8". You got Giannis. If you could find like a 6'10" power forward, like I know you have Dame and Gary Trent Jr. and defense is going to be a little bit of a liability here. But if somebody gets past Dame or Gary Trent Jr., just funnel them into Giannis. It's going to be okay. He'll throw that shit into the third row. It's going to be okay. They don't even utilize Giannis on the block for defense in Milwaukee, and it's fucking stupid. Makes no sense.
I know.
He's your best defender, and he's your most athletic player, and he's also your biggest player when it comes to height, size, strength, everything. Like, let him anchor your defense, Doc Rivers. Like, what the fuck is going on? And if he's like, well, I don't want to play the 5, then tell him to fucking suck your dick. What do you mean? We've ruined our franchise for you. We ruined our world. We're paying 3 coaches right now. We gave away everything. We made the Celtics unstoppable by trading away Drew Holiday for Damian Lillard because you wanted him. We ruined the whole NBA for you. Fucking play the 5. Yeah. So we'll jump into the Western Conference before I get too steamed about it, talking about Giannis ruining franchises.
They did do that shit. They did. All those things
so
are
play
true.
the fucking 5 if I ask you to play it. Going to the Western
We've hooked
Conference.
up our franchise for you.
You know, are the Mavericks going to go? And if not, who's better than them?
I could see Dallas definitely getting back. If anybody were to knock them off, I don't know. Something tells me like maybe Minnesota's ready to take a step and go to the finals and lose. But I'm like, I don't know. There's something about like there's something that's like there's also a really good chance that no matter what happens, no matter who gets drafted, anything doesn't matter. The Minnesota Timberwolves can't win the West no matter what happens. This is for the entirety of their franchise. From previous in the next 50, 60, 70, 80 years, they're never going to make it out of the West because they're the Timberwolves.
Correct.
So, but looking at their roster, I'm like, they could win the West, but again, they're the Timberwolves, so they can't win the West. So I'm like, shit, maybe Dallas will win the West again.
Yeah,
maybe Denver can make a move before the trade deadline to
stop.
Maybe they can make 5 moves before the trade deadline.
There you go. Well, it's interesting because like they have so much money dedicated to like Jamal Murray now, Joker, MPJ, Aaron Gordon that they don't like. The only move that they have so much money dedicated to these guys that the only move that they could even financially make was to trade for Russell Westbrook, which actually made their team worse. It made their team worse. You lost KCP, so you're going to move Braun, that white boy, into the starting shooting guard role, which he's not ready to start on a championship team, and he never will be. And now your best bench player is Russell Westbrook. You have a very, very serious issue on your hands. They don't make it out of the first round of the playoffs. The only way they do is if they play the Lakers. That's it. That's the only way they're making it out of the first round of the playoffs. The only team... I don't know, man. It's going to be really interesting because, like, there's a part of me that thinks that, like, I don't even know why I feel this way. It kind of depends on how Ja plays, but I feel like Memphis has a shot. I legitimately think that Memphis has a shot. What do you say?
To win the West.
To win the West.
A team that was trash, the worst team in the NBA last year, adds one player and they win the West?
I just think the West is, like, pretty sucky. Like, that's kind of where I'm feeling right now is, like, because I think Phoenix has a chance, too. Because, like, if Phoenix mildly gets their shit together, like, nobody's as talented as them. And then, of course, like, my pick is the Mavericks because I think that my personal opinion is if you have Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic drawing all the defense in and you have Klay Thompson wide open and you already made the finals, you're only going to be better.
I feel that.
So I don't think that anybody's going to beat the Mavericks, especially since the Mavericks have what nobody else in the league does have is rim running bigs. Nobody else fucking has it. Like, they have Derek Lively. They have Gafford. Lively's like 7 foot, 7'1". Gafford's like fucking 6'10" to 7 foot.
See, that's what the Bucks need. Either one of those guys slide in there perfectly, dog.
Perfect fit. But even
that's what I'm looking for if I'm the Bucks.
For sure.
Something like that.
For sure. Even JaVale McGee, not like JaVale McGee right now, obviously, but just even somebody who's like kind of sucky, but just huge and athletic. Yeah. Makes sense.
JaVale McGee 7 years ago would have been a solid fit on that squad.
Because here's my thing is like, is there a better duo in the league than Luka and Kyrie? Arguably not.
Arguably not.
That's what I'm saying.
Make a really good argument that the VJJ twins, though.
You said the VJJ twins?
Yeah.
You can't average fucking 48, 49 points a game for an NBA Finals combined and be the best duo in the league. I don't give a shit. No way. Dame and Giannis were getting like 55 points, like 55 fucking 60 points a game last year combined, dog. Like, nah, them guys ain't these guys. Like, Luka and Kyrie are some bad motherfuckers, dog. Like, these dudes don't fucking play. Like, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown could never lead the Dallas Mavericks to a Western Conference Finals with that bummy-ass roster that they had. They had Jalen Brunson whenever he was young and not as good, and that's it. So, but, like, that's the thing is, like, so you have Luka and Kyrie drawing in defenses, throwing fucking oops all day, and then if they're not throwing oops, it's just Klay Thompson and P.J. Washington wide open. Like, there's no way. Because most of the teams in the West got worse. Most got worse.
Yeah, definitely.
Know? Like, I don't think Phoenix is any better than they were. Like, I don't know if they got worse, but they certainly didn't get better. I don't
think Phoenix ain't got a chance to win the West, dog. They didn't have a chance last year. They're nobody. They're top heavy and they got no leader.
That's the thing. Is like the only reason I even say they have a chance though is because like I don't look at any teams in the West right now thinking like, oh, these motherfuckers are super good. Like, oh, like I think the Mavericks are really good. I don't think anybody's super good though. So Mavericks are really good, but is there another team in the Western Conference we're just like missing and not thinking of that's really good?
No, everyone's gonna be just okay. The top 3 seeds are probably gonna be like Sacramento and Memphis,
Minnesota,
and like
fucking
Minnesota, and then Dallas. Like that'll probably be like your top 4 seeds.
Honestly, dog. Like that's the thing too is that like I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw like a Mavericks Kings Western Conference Finals. Like adding DeMar DeRozan's a big deal. Like anybody wants to say like getting a fucking efficient scorer who's going to give you 23, 24 points a night is important. It's important. Every time it's important.
They'll be a really good regular season team, I think.
Me too. You have Sabonis, you have De'Aaron Fox, you got some 3-point shooters over there. I think that they'll be fine, but like I don't know, like who were the top seeds in the Western Conference last year? Like Denver, Minnesota. Oh, OKC. That's the team that we forget about right now.
That's the team.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's got to be
so they're really good. Can make it out.
OKC can make it out. They're really good. It all depends on how Chet plays. Like I know what I'm going to get out of Shea. I don't worry about Shea at all. I like the Alex Caruso signing though. I like the big guy from the Knicks that they got. I know who he is. I just fucking butcher his name every time, so I just don't say it anymore. But I like that signing too. I think that's what everybody wants to see. However, though, the Mavericks did mildly beat the shit out of the Thunder last year. Like they mildly beat the shit out of them.
They did.
They lost game 1 and then won 4 out of the next 5, and got better. And their young players got more experience. So like they did lose Derrick Jones Jr., which is unfortunate for the Mavericks because he was their super athlete.
Yeah.
But when you look at like at least OKC doesn't have any super athletes either. So I think that we have some things that we can do here to
OKC's in that place right now with their squad that like they're going to be better than last year without adding anybody to the roster.
But they did add some guys to the roster is the thing.
Right. But even just like with Shea, with the stage of his career that he's at a stage where he's going to get better every year.
He should have had the MVP.
For the next few years, he should have been the MVP. Should have. Easy.
And if you have the MVP on your team, you have a puncher's chance to win a lot of series.
Absolutely. So if Chet can, be in that most improved player conversation, they got a serious chance to win the West.
Yeah. Because that defense is going to be stout, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I like what I'm seeing from them for sure. So we'll kind of, we'll see. I like the Mavericks as of right now, just because I haven't seen anybody play. But ask me at the All-Star break, and I'll have a pretty fucking good idea of who's gonna fucking go to the finals and win.
Ask me after we've watched 60% of the season. I'll have a good idea.
I'll know exactly who's gonna play and win and everything. I'll tell you all exactly what's gonna happen. And then last thing that I wanted to discuss with you is there's been some rumors floating around. Obviously, Julius Randle posted on his IG cracking a joke about how his jersey wasn't for sale in the Knicks store, and there was footage of Knicks fans tearing his poster down in the hallway of the Garden, saying we don't need him anymore and shit, And if you're the Knicks, like you probably don't need him anymore. You got pretty far in the playoffs without him. You got better in the offseason. Do you get rid of Julius Randle, or do you try to keep him? Because replacing a guy who gives you 22 and 9 every single night is fucking impossible. So what do you think that they should do?
They could use him still, even if Knicks fans want to say that they don't need him. But you have to trade him just because of where the relationship is.
Yeah.
Between him, the organization, the fans, everything. It's only gonna bleed into other things and cause problems.
Yeah, an interesting kink in this, however, though, is supposedly Julius Randle's biggest fan is James Dolan. That's what I've been reading around for a while now, is that James Dolan loves him. And the reason that James Dolan probably loves him is because James Dolan probably was the one who's we should trade for him, and then it worked out and he made an all-star team. So James Dolan probably feels like he's a genius when he's not.
If the relationship between Randle and the rest of the actual team and coaching staff and everybody, if that's fine, and it's just a Julius Randle and the fans thing, that's something we can work through.
For sure.
But it depends on how, does Randle feel unappreciated by the organization as a whole, or does he just feel overlooked by the fans?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of depends on, if that relationship has already been too kind of messed up, then you got to get rid of him.
And if you're the Knicks, you don't have any bigs. You have Mitchell Robinson, but Hartenstein went to OKC in free agency, got overpaid like fuck, so you couldn't fucking pay him. So you're in a situation where it's if you trade Julius Randle, the way that trades work, and everybody knows, is if you trade your all-star player away, what you get back is not worth what you had. Plain and simple.
Never.
You might get a bunch of first-round picks that turn into picks and everything like that, but if you're the Knicks, you're trying to win right fucking now. You want to win right now. So I don't know what they could do to possibly even remotely, if they got rid of him, replace a kind of guy that's going to give you 23 and 9. You'd have to bring in another big who's at least a quality fucking big. I mean, best case scenario here is you bring in DeAndre Ayton and he doesn't even start for your team. That's what I see as best case scenario here. And that's almost worst case scenario, really. Unless for some reason, the Kings have had enough, and they're let's shake up the roster. We'll trade Sabonis for Julius Randle, which I don't see that's the case. They play very similar, except for Sabonis seems to be a little bit better of a playmaker. But I don't see the Knicks getting better from trading Julius Randle. That's the thing. Unless
for sure,
unless you get Jimmy Butler, because Miami doesn't want to pay him next year, and they're just fucking going to trade him for whatever, and There's some moves to be made, I guess, but I'm with you. I think that you roll with Julius Randle at least until the All-Star break and see if you can make this shit work, because I'm here to tell you right now that, you can't start all these Villanova cats at the same time. You don't want Jalen Brunson and DiVincenzo and Josh Hart and fucking Mikal Bridges all on the court at the same time starting. With Mitchell Robinson. That is not a good starting five, guys. Just let you know, Knicks fans. It's not a good starting five. Your starting five is much better off with DiVincenzo, Bridges, Brunson, Robinson, and Randle. That's a much better fitting, cohesive starting five. But is Julius Randle going to be okay with being you don't fucking get 20 shots a night anymore, Playboy. You get fucking 12. Sorry, we're good. So Jalen Brunson gets as many shots as he feels like taking, and you get the scraps. And if you're is Julius Randle going to be okay with that? Because when he went to the Knicks, they fucking sucked. And then he played with them for a couple years. They went to the playoffs. He was the guy in New York for a couple of years. But does he understand that if he is the guy, your team's not very good? You're not very good if Julius Randle's your best player. You're not very good if he takes the most shots. We just proven that if Jalen Brunson's your best player and takes the most shots, you're pretty fucking good. But interesting is like, so if you are the Knicks and you do trade Julius Randle, where would you like to see him go as far as like a realistic kind of fit and something that would remotely make sense?
It's interesting because whenever you said, with Jimmy Butler trade, Julius Randle to Miami, if Miami kept Jimmy Butler, would be an interesting. We always because we want to see Jimmy.
I know
we love Jimmy.
We do love Jimmy. We do love Jimmy. We love Jimmy and Bam over here. We're even nice to him in the cartoons.
You know what I'd really like to see Julius Randle is. I don't think this is that realistic, but if somehow Minnesota could dump Rudy Gobert, move Cat to the 5, slide Julius Randle into the 4. Now we got like a really good ass team over here.
Yeah, that'd be super good. I saw a Knicks fan being like, "Fuck it, like let's just trade Randle for Cat straight up, like it works." And I'm like, the Timberwolves are not giving you Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle, you delusional fucking Knicks fan. Minnesota does make some sense. As far as other teams that make like a ton of sense, like I think
where else? Orlando. Memphis would be fire.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Julius Randle in Orlando just because I feel like him and Franz Wagner play a very similar position. They just cheesed up Franz. I don't love that move for them. I mean, it does kind of make sense though. At the end of it, it does kind of make sense. Like if you're in a win now mode,
it makes Orlando better and gives them a chance to get like a top 4 or 5 seed.
It does make them better. It most certainly does. And I think Orlando's going to get a top 4 or 5 seed this year, regardless of Julius Randle's there.
Yeah.
I think Paolo's going to be a lot better. I think he's going to take another step this year. Fran's going to take another step. I like the KCP signing. They are still a piece away. I'd like to see him get a little bit better guard play. But all in all, Julius Randle would make sense there. He would make some sense there. I think he makes a lot of sense in Memphis. Like a ton of sense in Memphis.
You know where I'd really love to see him? Get him on the Lakers. Bring him back. Run him at the 4. Run AD at the 5.
LeBron at the 1.
Yeah.
I like it too. Man. I like any way the Lakers can get better, I'm a fan of. Any way that we can watch LeBron in the fucking playoffs, get deeper in the playoffs, I'm a fan. I'm trying to think of other teams that even make sense for Julius Randle. Oh, rumor mill, by the way. I meant to bring it up when we were talking about Philly. Rumor has it is that the Philadelphia 76ers are considering moving to New Jersey.
I'm seeing this.
What the fuck is going on?
It's always over the same shit.
What, they want a stadium or something?
Yeah.
New Jersey? What, you guys going to go play in that old shitty Nets arena in New Jersey? They're not going to give you a new stadium over there.
They're talking about getting a new one.
Oh. I mean, it's not that far from Philly.
You can't not have a professional basketball team in Philadelphia. You can't go without one.
I agree. Like it's like not having one in Seattle, but worse. The Sixers are
significantly worse.
The Sixers are a mildly proud franchise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you guys have sucked for the last 20 fucking years pretty consistently. Like, I don't even know if they've made a conference finals in the last 20 years. But you guys, as a franchise, still have been to the NBA Finals probably 5 times and probably have 3 championships, if I had to guess.
What was the Kawhi shot? Was that not? That was in the conference finals, right? That sent them to the championship?
Yeah.
Or am I tripping?
No.
Yeah.
No.
That sent them to the conference finals to play
That
Miami?
sent the Raptors to the conference finals because I think the Raptors beat Milwaukee in the conference finals, right?
I can't remember, man. 2019... Pre-pandemic was a blur.
Yeah, no doubt.
Pre-pandemic times all blur, all a blur now.
But Philly should have a basketball team. Philly fans are fucking awesome.
Absolutely.
And just dump $100 million into the stadium and renovate it. Like, who cares? Now, if the owner's like, we want taxpayer dollars to pay for this stadium, then fuck you. Like, your team's worth fucking $3 billion. Take out a loan, pussy. The Sixers are probably worth.
That shit should be illegal to have taxpayers pay for stadiums. That shit is
ridiculous.
Man,
I saw this thing about the MLB the other day. Cause you know how MLB owners are always fucking super stingy and shit with like roster money and shit. All these small market teams are only paying $60-70 million for a whole baseball team, you know? Yeah. And I saw somebody propose a rule change that was you have to spend at least $120 million a year on your roster or else you're forced to sell your team. And I'm like, I fucking love that. And then I also saw somebody that was like, hey, man, that seems excessive. And this should be in all sports, by the way, that if you average a losing record for 10 years in a row, you have to sell your professional sports team. That should be the case in all professional sports leagues.
I feel that for sure. If you got a losing record 10 years in a row, you have to sell it.
No, and it's not even if you have a losing record 10 years in a row. It's if you average a losing. If you average a losing record.
That's a lot better. That's a lot better. You shouldn't be able to lose for 8 years and then win
one game above 500
games.
and then keep your fucking team.
Yeah.
But I would love that. I would fucking love that shit, dude. Love it because it's bullshit.
The only
dog.
problem with I agree. The only problem with the minimum spend is like sometimes there's not like you're gonna have to overpay guys. You're gonna have a team. You're gonna have instances where like you're gonna have a team that's only worth $70 million, but you just were forced to overpay him and pay $100 million.
I don't care. Re-sign your young, good players. We see it happen all the time. I live in Missouri, dog. The Royals had like 3 really good young players, won a World Series, and we're like, we're not paying you, fuck off. And then these motherfuckers are like, the Royals are like, we'd like a new stadium. We want taxpayer dollars. Like, if you want taxpayer dollars to pay for your fucking stadium and you don't even spend money on your team to be good, how dare you? How fucking dare you? And I don't give a fuck because there's always good players available in free agency. There's always moves that you can make. You can go sign a good pitcher. You can make a trade for a really good player from a team that wants to dump that contract. There's ways to do it. There's enough MLB talent running around to do it, and that goes for all sports. Like in the NBA, like NBA teams are always pushing salary cap. Always. Like, well, we're going to pay this guy. Like, we're going to pay this guy because he earned it. So, like, it's like the NBA, but like, Michael Jordan shouldn't have been allowed to own the Hornets this long. Like, there's certain owners, like the Timberwolves should have changed hands fucking 10 years ago because you guys fucking suck. Like, the Orlando Magic should have been forced to sell fucking 3 or 4 years ago. Like, these are the things that we're running into as fans, and then you guys bitch and moan about attendance, and then you guys want to bitch and moan about your stadium, but like you fucking put a shitty product out there. You know what happens to shitty products? They get fucking canceled. TV shows, bad products on the fucking grocery shelves. All these things get fucking removed. And I'm ready to remove owners, dog. Let's do it. We're running long on time.
Last thing. Here's the problem is that, like, there's too many fans who think they're being a good fan by supporting a crappy team. That does not make you a good fan. That makes you foolish. That doesn't make you a good fan.
Correct.
That's
like
stupid.
The Cardinals fans right now, the St. Louis Cardinals fans right now, that are protesting and shit and fucking boycotting games and shit, talking shit on our team.
They're good fans.
You guys are good fans. We have a very high standard here in St. Louis. We expect championships. We haven't had a championship caliber team on the field in a very, very, very long time. Like right now, we're just making money, and they're taking you guys for granted. And if you let somebody take you for granted, and you just keep letting them do it, it doesn't make you smart. It doesn't make you loyal. It makes you retarded.
It makes you retarded for overpaying for a shitty product.
Exactly.
That's like you go to the store and you want to buy something that's worth $10, but you paid $100 for it instead, just because you got tricked into being loyal to a product.
Right.
Yeah.
Stupid, dumb idiots,
Silly.
dog. All right, that's all the time that we have here.
Teams.
You fucking idiots, dog. I'd like to touch base on this a little bit more in another podcast, to be honest with you, because it's fucking frustrating. But
we could go all day long on shitty sports owners.
That's what we should do. Is we should do a podcast on NBA rule changes we'd like to see implemented. That's a good idea.
I'll write you a whole thesis on this.
I'm gonna write that. Fuck yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna write it down. So that's a good idea for a podcast. Is like rules we'd like to see changed. All right, we love the fans, not as much as ourselves.
Thanks for tuning in with y'all. Thanks for rocking with us. New cartoons every day.
Fuck
Riot
yeah,
comedy, baby.
Peace.